Hi everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zierscher, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the fly stitch. There are a number of variations on the fly stitch. So there's the fly stitch, which is on page 127 of Sue Spargo's Creative Stitching book. There is also the closed fly stitch, which if you're looking at Sue Spargo's Creative Stitching book, it's on page 58. In addition, there's a variation to the fly stitch, which is the twisted fly stitch. I'm going to be demonstrating all of those, and I'll also show you different threads that I've done the fly stitch in and how you can create different looks depending on the threads you use. I'm very excited to demonstrate this stitch. It's one of my favorites. It's a go-to stitch for me. I really love it. It looks beautifully on its own, but it also looks really lovely when it's combined with other stitches, such as a French knot or a colonial knot. Don't forget to hit the like button. And please subscribe. I love hearing from you, so leave any comments you might have or questions in the comment section below. And don't forget to check out the description of this tutorial because I provide a lot of links for other things, including Sue Spargo's website. If I use anything that's not available on her website, I include links to that. So grab something to stitch with, grab some thread and a needle, and let's stitch together. For the fly stitch, I'm using a number 5, Sue Spargo's number 5 variegated eleganza thread. This is a limited edition. It comes, I think, in one of those limited edition packs. It's EZM 63. And I've threaded on a number 18 chenille needle. I'm going to come up at the bottom here so that if my spacing is a little messed up, it won't matter as much because it's at the bottom. So I'm coming up with my first stitch here. I go back down just a little ways away. That's going to be my V. And then I come back down below and I make sure that that thread's underneath. Do you see how I'm getting a V there? Then I go down just a little ways. I come back up. I go equidistant from the width that I've gone on this side, and I come right up where that first stitch ended. I want to come right next to it. Now these can be varied, so if you have like an animal, for instance, and you want to give, or a bird that you want to give a kind of feathered head to, or maybe his chest, you can make these longer and stagger them. You can make them closer together. Farther apart. So I'm going to do a couple of different, make this one much bigger. As you can see, it's going to get hidden under this guy, but that's okay. Then I'm going to decrease the width. Here's one just doing a circle without any kind of applique. Here's one doing, this is a number 8 eleganza, and I'm just outlining the leaf, and then I did a huge, big closed fly stitch, which I then couched with a different color for the veins. Here I just did a series going up and down, back and forth to create a kind of chevron. And then with a different, thicker thread, this is a number 3, I went around the whole thing. Here's just a little kind of vine. This one is done in gimp, and then I went ahead and used bouillon knots and French knots to accent. Here's my closed fly stitch in ribbon, silk ribbon with French knots accenting. The French knots are done in an eleganza variegated number 8 thread. And this is also the fly stitch, and I'll show you that next. It's just the regular fly stitch, not the closed. And you can vary the length of those legs. So as you can see, there are a lot of different ways to use the fly stitch. And I'm also going to be showing the twisted fly stitch. So stay tuned because those two are coming up next. For the fly stitch, I'm going to demonstrate using a shepherd's silk. This one is called, I think it's just called Poppies. It's such a beautiful, and I'm using my number 18 chenille. So I'm going to go ahead and start where the stem is on my little flower here. And I'm going to make my V, and then I'm going to take my little leg and just stick him under my velvet, my embossed velvet. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to work clockwise, go over, put my thread below, and here's my tail. Put this. Because I put my embossed velvet off center, I'm going to make my legs longer. I'm going to keep the V the same size, but I'm going to extend the legs up. It'll kind of accentuate the off-centered embossed velvet circle, which is what I want. Like that. I'm going to go ahead now and let's do the twisted fly stitch and see what that's like. For the twisted fly stitch, I'm using a seagrass, which is really lovely. It's got this kind of matte look to it, comes in all kinds of colors, and my number 24 chenille needle. I'm just going to do a bunch of little ones here. They're not going to be attached. They're just going to be by themselves. I'll scatter them around randomly and see how that looks. So unlike a regular fly stitch where I would come up and I'd have my thread like this, I'm going to come up just as I would, but I'm not going to put my thread under. I'm going to pull this through, and then I'm going to come from above, and I'm going to pull my stitch down. And do you see how it gives a little twist? Now I can give it a tail, or I can go right back down. So let me do one more. I'm going to come up just as I would a regular fly stitch. I'm going to take my next stitch and I'm going to go through to the bottom. So I'm making, right, it's three points across, which is here, and then my anchor. So I'm coming out from my anchor. Instead of having my thread beneath, I leave it so that it forms a loop. I take my needle and I go from the top to the bottom. So from above, I come down, and it just makes a little twist right there. Then I anchor, secure that stitch by anchoring my thread or giving it legs. It's either one. So it's a subtle difference, but it's really quite pretty too. It's a nice little variation, I think. So one more time. I make my V come down to my anchor. Instead of having my thread beneath, I'm going to let it float above, and then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go from the top and I'm going to pull it down, and it will make a twist. I hope you've enjoyed watching this and found it helpful. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so that you can be notified when I publish a new video. I love hearing from you, so please do leave any comments or questions you might have in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out the description because I leave a lot of links to things that I talk about. Here's to stitching together.